All right. Let me rip this mug real quick. Welcome to the Cine-Siblings draft, the podcast where we attempt to craft our best top fives within film. I'm Ian.
I'm James, and I'm confused.
And of course, we have a guest here today, a very special guest. It is our nephew, Troy. Introduce yourself, Troy, and plug your Twitch channel.
So my name is Troy. On Twitch, I go by the Tin Man with a 1 replacing the I. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/the Tin Man with the 1 replacing the I. No spaces or anything. And these are my 2 youngest uncles. We have another one. I have another one. I am their sister's son.
Yes, sir.
Their older sister's son.
And Jamie, what are we drafting today?
Today, we are drafting our top 5 Walt Disney Animation Studios movies. That means that Tangled would be in, but Brave is out. So Goof Troop would also be out. So all our classic favorites will be in because Walt Disney Animation Studios is the one that starts it all. Pixar, however, they're a league of their own, and they are not in this bout.
Banned.
No Goofy movie.
Yeah, no Goofy movie, no extremely Goofy movie.
As good as they are.
No Tigger movie,
Yeah.
which is also Goof Troop.
Or
And no DuckTales.
whatever it's called.
It's
Disney
It's
Toons.
the Disney Toons.
Oh,
Yeah.
Disney Toons.
Yeah. And we're doing this, of course, because we raised this kid on these kind of movies, man.
Although I've kind of felt like we raised him more on Pixar. Honestly.
Dude, this dude could watch some Toy Story, Monsters
Inc.
and
Monsters
A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life.
But also Robin Hood was
Yes.
a big part.
We'll get to those. Anyway, of course, as always, let's talk about our relationship with these incredible family movies. Jamie, start us off.
Well, I mean, who doesn't know Disney films? Who wasn't raised on Disney films? Disney's been going since the 30s with their animated classics, I think starting with Snow White. So, I mean, there's really nothing that you can say to make people not identify some form or fashion with Disney. It's just simply iconic Americana. And now it's worldwide. It's been worldwide for a really long time. Disney is one of those things that made American pop culture appeal to a worldwide audience. So, I mean, our all of our relationships with Disney, I mean, it kind of goes, is taken for granted in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Troy, what you think?
I'm pretty sure that like everyone has watched Disney movies at some point or another. There's no if and or but about it. Like you will see it on airplanes, you will see it at daycares. If you have children, you're going to watch a Disney movie at some point. Or if you go to a daycare or you go to a restaurant there that has a TV, there's going to be Disney on. It's just permeated through the culture. Absolutely. It affects everyone's lives. There's Disney movies that get turned into musicals or plays. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it used to be Disney borrowed all from fairy tales. And now they're remaking and borrowing from all their own stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Man, have you guys seen the trailer for Raya and the Last Dragon? The new Walt Disney Animation Studios film coming out in March?
No, I was actually thinking I hadn't seen anything from them.
No, it looks really awesome. It's I think it's Japan from the way it looks, but I could be wrong. Anyway, check out that trailer. And of course, as always, to go first, we're going to play the celebrity movie name game. And I've shuffled the deck, and we've got the man, Samuel L. Jackson.
Right. So he's been in a lot of stuff.
He is in a lot of movies.
stuff.
All right.
Troy, you're our guest. Name your first Samuel L. Jackson movie.
He is the homeless guy in Coming to America.
Jamie?
Snakes on a Plane.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Pulp Fiction.
Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Avengers.
I forgot all this. Pulp, no, Glass.
Unbreakable. Troy.
Iron Man.
He's at the
He's
post
at the
credit
end.
scene.
He's in the end
Okay,
credits scene.
fine. Civil War. Captain America Civil War.
Um,
Come on, take
Captain America, The Winter Soldier.
All right, Black Snake Moan.
It's Troy's turn.
Oh,
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Black Snake Moan.
Um,
All right, yeah.
I'm out.
Age of Ultron. Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Infinity War.
Endgame.
He's not in. Oh, he is.
Yeah, he is.
He's in the.
Yeah. All right. I will bow out because I can't think of anything in a timely fashion.
Woo!
He's he was in Captain Marvel and a lot of other of those, but I
Yeah,
just couldn't think of
he's
them
in
at
all
the
the
time.
MCU.
There's so many.
We don't really need to name all the MCU movies. All right.
All right, Troy. That means you get first pick here, and let's hear it.
So my first pick, the number one overall pick, is Lion King. I'm going with The Lion King. It's my favorite movie possibly ever out of any movie. And the soundtrack is incredible. The story based on Hamlet.
Hamlet and Moses.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's
I grew
combine
up,
that.
it was a Shakespearean inspired.
Absolutely.
That's what y'all taught me.
Yeah. I teach Hamlet and I use The Lion King all the time.
And
Claudius.
I love Scar as a villain. He's my favorite Disney villain. Be Prepared is my favorite song from the soundtrack.
Be prepared.
Oh no, you don't got nothing on Jeremy Irons on that one.
No, Jeremy Irons is
so
the
good.
man, and the remake
good.
is so.
It's lacking
And-
because he's not. He was so iconic, I think, as Scar.
In the original Lion King, obviously, I don't want to talk about the remake. Apparently, it was bad. Or just that the animation was weird, and it made it look like they were lifeless because it was supposed to be real life lions,
I
Yeah.
don't know.
and they couldn't portray emotions. But Scar, the voice actor for Scar, blew out his vocal cords during Be Prepared when he says, "You won't get a sniff without me," and he screams it, and they had to get another voice actor for the rest of the film because he ruined his vocal cords for an extended period of time.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that it's a really neat fact about that song. It's my favorite song from the movie. The sequel is not as bad as some Disney sequels.
Well, the sequel is actually based on Romeo and Juliet, so they kind of
Right.
they kept with the Shakespearean theme, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah.
But,
I was a fan of the sequel.
yeah,
And
one
One
of
and
the-
a Half, which was hilarious.
which is I think based on Timon and Pumbaa is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from Hamlet, and that honestly the whole thing. As an English teacher, I love it because I can actually use it all the time because everybody has seen it, and so it's just like, okay, yeah, Claudius is Scar, so you guys know this, and Simba is Hamlet, except if Hamlet wasn't actually like cuckoo. So it plays a lot on that sort of stuff, and you go back a little bit further and get some of that sort of stuff. But it's one of the things I love about The Lion King, and that they do purposely in The Lion King is they talk about well, they don't talk about them, but they so purposely do all the archetypes, kind of like they do with Pinocchio, which we may or may not draft. But it's so archetype heavy that it's a movie about lions, but it's not about lions at all. talks to us as people, and we just automatically kind of identify with the story. And it's not necessarily because it's Shakespeare, who and really based on Hamlet. Hamlet is considered Shakespeare's crowning masterpiece, and but it's not. It just speaks to people on a level that's almost visceral. It's perfect hero's journey, and it's mapped out so very well, that it's an excellently told tale, and it's some of Disney's best animation, in that golden revival or golden age of Disney.
Yeah, I was about to say this is the pinnacle of like this Disney Renaissance era between like this and Aladdin, right? Coming out in the early 90s, and then where we fall off dramatically when we get to the early 2000s. And then it wasn't until another movie came out, like 2009, Princess of the Frog, as it returned to form, I believe. I could be wrong. But
I don't know if it's...
and now it's all the new age 3D stuff. But
Yeah,
Lion
the
King is
3D.
definitely probably the best of Disney from the 90s for sure.
It's either that or Aladdin, right?
Yeah. Well, according to you.
Not necessarily,
you.
but that's your draft.
It's Lion King.
Yeah, according to me, it's like...
All right.
I remember like almost crying seeing Simba touch Mufasa, and he's like, "Dad, get up." And it was the first experience I had where I put myself into the shoes of a character, because I was like, what if that was my dad? And I was trying to, and he was dead.
Yeah.
And it's just really emotional.
This is the very first movie I saw in the theaters when I was a kid.
I remember that.
Followed shortly by Braveheart, which what happened?
The treatment of death between those two films.
Right. But I still, I'm a little twerp, whatever. I still cry when Mufasa dies to this day.
I literally have to pull myself out of it to not feel the empathy. And children, I think,
Scar saying "Long live the king" is a goosebumps moment. It's one of the greatest villain moments ever in any movie of all time, and I'll argue that to my grave.
No, I think so, and I think that's why. Here's another thing: is I think this is another reason why the remake did not do so well. And other than the fact that you're dealing with you trying to make realistic animals have these emotions, and it doesn't work as well as you might hope. The Lion King is like iconic. It needs no remake. So many of these Disney movies are like that, but this one in particular needed no remake. It was probably perfect on its own.
And then, have you seen all the things and clips and snippets that show that Disney basically ripped off Kimba the White Lion?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the thing is they ripped off Hamlet. They ripped off Kimba. They, for the visuals.
But the story is Hamlet, but the visuals are Kimba.
Right. And one of the things about Kimba the White Lion is, from what I understand, they actually took, when in development, one of the Imagineers, I guess, is what Disney wants us to call them, is he was inspired by all this stuff out of Japan, and then it got shelved, and he left and was either not with Disney anymore or working on another project, and then they basically picked Lion King back up again, and had all this great stuff, and a lot of people didn't know where it came from. And we're just like, oh, this is great stuff. And it was great stuff. And they improved upon it. Because Kimba's like an early, 80s piece out of Japan. So, I mean, it's well done, but it's lacking. I mean, in the grandiosity, I guess, that Disney pulled off with the Lion King, but I don't want to say it's lacking, because it's a good piece on its own, but I mean, we can argue about it all day all day long, up and down. But Disney made Lion King, and Lion King is iconic, and most people don't know or care about Kimba the White Lion.
The last thing I wanted to say is the end fight scene between Scar and Simba is just, every time I see it, I get chills. When Scar like throws the hot coals or whatever they're not coals,
Embers.
Thank you. Throws them into his face when he's feigning that he's, no, Simba, don't. And it's just, and then Scar falling and the hyenas just kind of
turning
they don't
on
show
him.
it. Yeah, they don't show what they do, but they turn on him. I love that scene.
It's
visceral.
Well done.
It's
visceral, well implied, and it's graphic. Everybody who's watching it knows it would be rather graphic, except for the littlest kids who understand vaguely what happens and they don't need to see it. Good.
And you go from the Timon and Pumbaa, what do you want me to do? Dress in drag and do the hula?
Right.
To that immediately, and it's very. I like how they juxtapose the comedy versus the serious parts of the movie.
Yeah, without undermining the serious parts.
Right.
All right. Am I up? Or you got one more?
Well, I just wanted to add the scores for this. I mean, of course, it came out in 1994, 8.5 on IMDb, and 88% or 88 on Metascore.
Yeah,
Metascore can fight me. It's a 95 plus.
All right. So, Jamie, it's your turn.
All right. I'm gonna go with my personal favorite, and that is going to be 1973's Robin Hood.
That is my number one.
Like, you got jacked.
Yeah.
Okay. So Robin Hood is just one of those films that I loved and would watch again. Ian, I believe you have the our childhood VHS sitting in your office there. So
it's actually a thrift store VHS.
Oh, someone else got it?
I think we gave them to this one.
I have the Robin Hood VHS.
Okay.
I have Lion King VHS tape as well.
Yeah, no, this is good. It was one of the things about it. It's not so much music heavy, which was not one of the things that I always really liked. It had long intro credits, and the music's good there. The music is good there. It's kind of conventional, and that's kind of what the critics said about it. But it's got a cleverness to it. It's telling a classic story. It's folk talesy, but it's not too big for its britches in a lot of ways. Like, and it plays on a lot of stuff, and it's actually one of the inspirations for Zootopia, which I was reading about. And if you look at the character design of Zootopia, you see that.
He does.
And it's like, oh wow, okay.
How did I not see that?
Yeah, well, and also like with the classes of animals and things like that. Where you have the elephants as kind of these heraldic figures, and the rhinoceroses as guards, and these different things going on. And I just loved the film, and anything with sword fighting and medieval was something that immediately attracted me as a kid. But this one has held my attention even growing into adulthood. And if it's on, or if somebody's like, let's watch a Disney movie, that's my number one choice to go to. And hopefully I'll get my number two as well. But that's basically what I got to say about that one. Ian?
All right. Man, since this is my number one, I have a little bit to say, I guess. And it's just classic, right? Classic story. Robin Hood is just one of those legends that deserves to be told over and over and over again, because it is such a good character. And this is just, if I watch it today, it's just nostalgia, like just a huge nostalgia fest. Like the songs, yeah,
you're right.
So good. And this is my Robin Hood. It's not Carrie Elwes in Men in Tights. It's not Kevin Costner. It's not Russell Crowe. It's not Taron Egerton. This little fox running around with his little foxy Maid Marian is my Robin Hood.
And you
And
know,
I love the songs in this film, like top to bottom. There's not one I don't like. And apparently, this was supposed to be a story about Reynard the fox. So that's why this is all animals. Unlike probably all the other movies up into this film, there's not a single human in this movie, not one. And they're not, and they're like humanoid animals. So it's not like,
yeah, we call it anthropomorphic.
Yeah, anthropomorphic.
So, but I always found this kind of charming, and all animal casts. There's you hadn't probably up until this point, you probably hadn't seen anything like it in the 70s. So
I think the closest thing you got was the Jungle
Mickey
Book.
and Company.
Well,
Jungle
yeah.
Book.
I mean, you've got,
but there's humans in Jungle Book.
Right. Well, there are, but the closest thing you got to it, and actually there was inspiration drawn from the Jungle Book with Phil Harris playing both Baloo and Little John.
Absolutely.
Little John being based, like the bear character being based on Baloo.
But it's the same actor.
So. Oh, they got the same actor because they're like, oh, this is perfect. But one of the things a lot of critics, I think, were saying at the time about Robin Hood was that this is really did the Disney animated feature film comeback after the death of Walt Disney, which was, I think, I was looking it up, in 1966. So late, that's December 1966.
Troy said death of Walt Disney.
Oh,
he's frozen in carbonite.
His head is frozen in a...
Okay,
so
guys.
This movie is...
Was he on Futurama? Did you see him on Futurama?
No, because he's frozen in Cinderella's castle at Disney World.
Still, okay.
Yes, of course.
All right. But yes, Robin Hood is my number one pick.
So I remember as a kid watching this with you. I remember watching it with you. I remember all the action happening and me being in awe of the film. I have modeled humanoid D&D characters after the characters from Robin Hood and made them human, but like the outfits are the same. And I remember the jewels on the king's teeth. Like, after he kissed the hand, he took the jewels off the rings.
Little John, or I can't remember if it's Little John or Robin Hood that kisses the jewels right off.
It's Robin. I think it's Robin Hood when he's dressed up as the old lady.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's
the fortune teller. Yeah, I mean, it's classic.
I just remember from my childhood watching this with y'all.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It's on my list. It's not. I have it written as 4.
Yeah. Yeah. But IMDb gives it a 7.6, which is good for IMDb standards, and then a 57 on Metacritic. But there's only 9 critic reviews to base that off of. So
who cares? It was, 1973. It was an animated children's film. So I mean, critics are not about that life, and I'm okay with it. But you know what? I'm a dad, and I'm about that life, and I'm gonna show my kids some Robin Hood, and they love it. So, all right, Ian, your number one pick that I jacked. What's your number 2 pick? Your number 1.
My true number 1 pick has to be Fantasia from 1940.
Dang.
It is an absolute masterpiece of awe and wonder, like just cinema magic. Not only captures the attention of the young ones, but adults too. There's so much to just feast your eyes upon in this animated wonderland.
I remember the first time watching this. I'll share after you finish.
And I could talk about all the little segments within this film, but
what's your favorite one?
I mean, it's got to be the magician, like what's it called? The magician,
the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Sorcerer's Apprentice. I was just I literally was about to say the magician's nephew.
That's
C.S. Lewis. And it's just a perfect visual representation of the absolute magic of music and how it makes you feel and what you think about as you listen to the symphony orchestra. And even as a young kid, it makes you feel all type of ways. And I cannot get over how beautiful this movie is in so many ways. And I turned it on today on Disney Plus, and it comes with a little disclaimer. It says it's presented as it was, but it has I forget the wording, basically outdated views or outdated representations of other culture, which it does.
Which one?
I think they edited out. I think it says it's shown as it was in 1940, but they took out one of the centaurs, which was the
little American Indian one. Was that
no?
Is that what it was?
I don't think we ever even saw this one because it was super problematic. So by the time we got to it, it may have been edited out already. It's a black one that's like ridiculous looking, but anyway.
Okay. Right. Well, I'd have to go.
If you watch it on Disney Plus, you will not see that, but it does come with a disclaimer. And this movie is fantastic, and it's almost in the name with Fantasia.
My favorite segment, I think, was probably the one with the dinosaurs. But yeah, I got you on that one.
Wait, talk about what's the one with like the battle between the
or like the demon thing?
The demon, yeah.
Yeah.
That thing was terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, like it's one of those films I actually didn't know what I was getting into when I watched it. And I remember all sitting down to watch it as a family. And I think we rented it or just bought it, and we were going to watch it all together. And so everybody sat down and we're watching it. And I remember, I don't know if you were like really, or like.
I got this for a birthday. VHS.
Okay. Well, I don't remember if we had rented it first, Ian, because I was talking and I don't know that you were talking, but I kept asking, when are they going to start talking? When is the film going to actually be talking? I took the first opening. I was used to old Disney films where they do the credits first. And so you have a musical number, and it was just like, they're not talking. Why aren't they talking? Oh, okay, something's happening. It's different. Why aren't they talking yet? I don't understand. Why is there no story? And I think that I have Fantasia up here because I watched it a lot, and once I kind of understood what it was, I could appreciate it. But as a kid, no sir, because there ain't no story, there ain't no plot, there ain't no characters. It's all just like all these little vignettes to music, and I did not get it as a kid.
This is notoriously my least favorite VHS tape to see because of that.
See, I guess I was different because I remember sitting on the recliner, home alone, sick, whatever, and just watching this all the way through, just mesmerized by it.
I think that has to do a lot with you being a musician and me being a literature guy.
I mean, you're musically inclined as well.
I'm musically inclined, but I'm not as good as a musician as you are, or as a dedicated musician as you are. I'm kind of a dabbler. I've always been in band, dabble in things here and there, like to learn new instruments, but not learn them well. That's
this
a
is
little bit different.
That I also need to watch again because of my colorblind glasses.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's why he's sunglasses.
I probably didn't care about Fantasia because all the pretty colors didn't matter.
Right.
And that's fair.
There was nothing to enthrall me. No story.
And now we have
pretty colors. Now we have these nice $500 glasses that let me see red. And no, I didn't care about the story. I didn't care because there was none. I didn't care about the colors.
I mean, arguably, some of the music does tell a story, but
it's
not.
But I was too young to comprehend.
Yeah, it's not a narrative.
It's not conventional kid-wise sort of thing.
Right. It's not conventional for kids, and it wasn't pretty because I couldn't see pretty. So
I mean, okay, fair enough. All right.
I lost vibrant colors.
Yeah. So we're going to round 2 now, right?
We are going to round 2, and guess what, guys? It's a snake draft, so it's my pick again.
There you go.
And guys, dudes, my number 2 pick.
His number 2 pick is
The Princess and the Frog.
Blah.
What?
What?
All right.
No.
Maybe it's just the familiarity of it all, or being from South Louisiana and having deep roots in the city of New Orleans. This movie completely captures the magic of that city itself. Not only the city, but also the nature that surrounds it, the swamplands, the voodoo mysticism, and it's just so good. The nature is on point. The art direction is on point. The food is on point. The references that only someone from South Louisiana would understand are on point. When he goes, "We are from somewhere far away from here," and he says, "Oh no, y'all from Shreveport, I lost my damn mind because yes,
It's so good.
the Shreveport, far away from here, North Louisiana, basically Arkansas. Everything about this movie is
South Arkansas.
so on point. And finally, African Americans, blacks get representation in a Disney princess with Tiana. And I can't even fathom what this is like for little black girls growing up now. Even for all the little girls that grew up on the old school movies with a bunch of white princesses, just how they can share this film with their little girls to grow up with. I just think I love this movie all the way through. And this may be the most important Disney film of all time. And this being Disney's final entry into their classic animation style, it is an incredible way for them to go out.
Really? The most important Disney film of all time?
Absolutely. I think
Why?
it is one of them. Why?
Really?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
If Black Panther is one of the most important superhero movies of all time, if Wonder Woman is one of the most important superheroes of movies of all time, this movie giving African Americans something to grow up with, to identify with, to share in this with, it's hugely important. It has its cultural impact is huge. Absolutely. Troy?
I love this movie because of Dr. Facilier.
Hell yeah. Keith David is the man.
And he's not technically the real villain, is he? Because the real villain is his friends on the other side.
Right.
He's just kind of like this intermediary. And anytime the villain of a Disney film dies in kind of a gruesome way, I am a big fan. I watched this a lot as a kid. I remember watching it with my little sister Elise in a hotel room whenever we were traveling. That's the big memory. And I remember watching Dr. Facilier getting pulled into the portal thing.
Yeah.
And he's like scratching and clawing. And he's like, no, please.
His little shadow figure is
yeah,
like
and his shadow.
trying to cower away and get away, but it's sucked in as well.
It's a very great depiction. Again, not actually gruesome, but you know that bad things are gonna happen. Like once he goes through that portal, he's done for.
Yeah, and the death of Raymond, the Firefly, it's like, oh. But then you see he's a little
with
star. His little Evangeline. It gets you in the feels for sure.
It does.
Jamie, I take it you don't like this movie.
I don't dislike the movie at all.
Okay.
I just don't. I mean, I'm not pulled in by local color. I don't have a particular love of New Orleans. Being a South Louisianian, I'm a Baton Rouge boy. I don't care about New Orleans.
I don't like the traffic.
That's such bull because you loved going to New Orleans as a kid.
I liked going to the French Quarter, to the nice parts of the French Quarter, but that was about it. I don't really care.
I don't like
so
that
doesn't sell me.
After leaving a Saints game,
and
it's rough.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is the swan song of classic animation. So there's that, and it's a well done film. I mean, it came out in 2009. I mean, that was the year I got married the first time, and so it kind of was not. It doesn't hit as a nostalgia point for me. It doesn't hit a point of a time where I was really paying attention to movies at all. I was kind of being thrust into adulthood. So, I mean, I don't have a lot to really say about the film. I wasn't really paying attention to film at the time.
All right. Well, it is now back to Jamie's second round pick.
Yeah. All right. So where I'm going to go is I'm going to actually transpose here, and I'm going to go with 1998's Mulan.
Let's get down to business.
The music in this is wonderful. And I think it is a really wonderful tale that deals with a lot of serious topics in a not totally lighthearted way for a Disney film, for a Disney animated film. Whereas something like Robin Hood kind of really takes the ideas of tyranny and overbearing taxes and things like that, and it's really not a huge thing, abject poverty. But Mulan really kind of deals with themes of tradition and gender roles and the meaning of honor, and really kind of demonstrates what the real meaning of honor is, and kind of challenges different ideas, but also honors tradition as well. So it's one of those films that what I like about it is that it questions things but still plays within a framework that's believable. It's again, one of the things that I think that Disney does well is when they work with classic tales. And this classic tale of Fa Mulan, it just, you have a lot to work with there, and I think they do a good job. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the remake, the live action remake, although I think it was probably better done than some of them. Aladdin, and
Seen it.
I haven't seen that one.
I've watched them, but this one I watched all the way through, I think twice, and the remake was all right, but not great. But I think Mulan has a lot of serious things to say, and it does it well. One of the things that I always appreciate about film is comic relief, and but I don't like triviality. So
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Mushu.
Eddie Murphy as Mushu is like.
And
I'll go back to the '90s, the bomb diggity, and and I mean, like, it's just so good. And I think I remember doing a couple times the Be a Man thing as karaoke, because I love it. And it's good, and it's so funny because the whole thing is like, all right, be a man. Well, she's a woman, but it's very classic, and you can argue that it also gives a nod to cultural diversity.
Yes.
Well, one of the things, and I mean, I'm not about the social justice life, but the thing is like you see the things with stories in the West, iconic stories, Disney was pulling largely from Western folklore and Hans Christian Andersen and things like that. So, you talk about, well, there's not a lot of cultural diversity. Well, I mean, that kind of reflects the norms of America at the time, what you would expect. And so, 1998, they're really kind of getting into, I really think you can argue that it probably starts with The Lion King, with kind of adjusting away from some of that, and taking kind of an African setting. But I think Mulan kind of contributes with it, and really they don't try to recast a Western tale. It's like how one of the reasons, they don't try to recast a Western tale with Asian characters. They cast an Asian tale, a Chinese tale with Chinese characters. And, of course it's got a Western feel and a vibe to it. because I mean it's still Disney, it's still a Western company, but I think that it's really it follows a kind of traditional pattern, and I think that's good.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is incredible. It holds up 100%. Like I said, Eddie Murphy as Mushu is one of the best comedic performances in all of these. He's up there with Timon and Pumbaa for sure. And obviously, I think some of the greatest music numbers in all of Disney, like 100%.
They did send him a daughter when he asked for sons.
That's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of irony in that song.
Oh, it's amazing. My sister and I will sit in the car and sing Be a Man on repeat whenever we go somewhere if her phone is charged. It just needs to be charged, and we're going to do it until her phone dies.
Nice.
And I watch... Now all of China knows you're here. I watched Mulan so many times with Elise, and it's just... Every time I watch it, I notice a new funny thing. I think this is another movie that juxtaposes the funny with the serious, because they're still at war.
Yeah.
And at the end of Be a Man, that's when they see the doll and like the raised village, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like burnt to a crisp, and they see that doll that's left over.
Right.
And that's another moment where you go from Be a Man is kind of a sillier song to just...
That's not Be a Man. That's not the Be a Man song.
Is it not?
It's Someone Worth Fighting For.
Oh,
Worth fighting for.
Right.
It's a much lighter tune than even Be a Man. Be a Man is all about the training. We're going to go to war.
Right.
It's the training montage.
It's the training montage.
Yeah, you got your A-team thing going on there. No, but Someone Worth Fighting For is the one where they're marching on to battle. And
Mulan's trying to describe her ideal woman.
Right. So the whole
right.
thing is funny because they're talking about, like all the men are talking about women worth fighting for, or what, or the comforts of home and things like that, and then they get to what they are fighting for, the loss of it. It's well juxtaposed. It's beautifully done. Mulan was one of the ones that like we didn't own, but I always thought was so good. And I was in middle school when it came out. Like I remember watching, coming on Disney Channel ad nauseum and seeing Christina Aguilera doing the ballad from the film.
That's the thing about Disney. It transcends ages. Like grandparents will watch this with their grandkids and enjoy it. And even I'm almost 100% that our parents, who are now great grandparents, no, they're not.
No, they're not. They're grandparents.
They're grandparents. He doesn't have any kids.
I have not sired any children. Not yet.
But I'm pretty sure they just watch the new Disney movies on their own. Like they're just good, right?
No.
This is one of those movies that it doesn't matter how old you are, you're still going to enjoy it.
Sure. I think they do, because I lived with them most recently, and I believe they just, whenever a new movie's out, they just rent it and they watch it, and they'll determine if they like it, and they'll do it without me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still get Netflix discs in the mail.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They definitely do.
All right. Well, Troy, it's your round 2 pick, sir.
So, I'm surprised. I guess I shouldn't be. I'm going to go with Aladdin as my round 2 pick.
All right, you're jacking me.
Aladdin.
Yeah. So,
Aladdin.
Robin Williams is one of my favorite actors of all time. If Lion King is not my favorite movie, Good Will Hunting is my favorite movie. So, I love Robin Williams. His role as the genie and the salesman at the beginning of Aladdin he's great. I love all the music. Jafar is a good villain. There are multiple times where Jafar does things that you immediately are appalled. Where he's trying to trick Aladdin when he disguises himself as the old man in the prison, when he throws Aladdin into the water, tied to the stone, and then Genie's like, "You do something! You have to wish for something for me to save you." And also, when he's mind controlling, what is the term for him?
The Sultan?
Jasmine's dad.
The
Sultan. I was like, not emperor, not king. And there's multiple times where Jafar is just such a dastardly bad guy that you just want him to lose. You want him to lose, and the way he loses, where he becomes a genie, and it's like, read the fine print, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your little lamp. Have fun.
Right.
It's so fitting for someone who searched for so much power for him to be constrained by his own power.
Fair enough.
Like, it's a downfall of his wish. It's like a play on how genies stereotypically would grant wishes, but you would wish to jump high and you would become a frog. It's a play on how genies...
be very specific about your wishing.
Yeah, be very specific about the wishes, and we're tricksters.
Right.
The jinns.
The jinn. I mean, Aladdin's one of the last... Actually, it is the last fairy tale movie Disney Animation Studios did until Tangled.
Is Princess and the Frog not fairy tale? Isn't it a very self-aware retelling of the Frog Prince?
Maybe. But
it's definitely
either way, it comes out the year before
2009.
Tangled. It's 2009 versus Tangled 2010. So you can argue that, but I can't. I mean, really, it's such a shift in the Frog Prince that maybe not. But I don't know. I'm not as familiar with the origins of the Frog Prince either. So, but you can argue it. But it's also got elements of Othello, Shakespeare's Othello in it as well. Aladdin does, even so much so as having Iago being named Iago in the film, which so like you kind of see like 2 years later they like just totally go, okay, well, we're just gonna go Shakespeare with this with the Lion King. So it's got that. Aladdin was on my list, and so kind of you're forcing me to another path, I think. But a beautiful film. I think it starts using some computer animation with that. So it was
the
had
cave
spectacle. Thing. Yeah, with the cave and the flying carpet. So I mean, 1992. That was some spectacle and some animation that you had not quite seen before that. So Ian, what about you?
Dude,
you watched this ad nauseum. This was
so much. My birthday was Aladdin. I had Genie's lamp soap. I
remember that.
A genie that was so squishy and stuffable that he stuffed himself into the lamp. It was like a stuffed animal, and you could rip him out, and then he would puff up into a big genie. I had the little genie little lamp. I had everything Aladdin, and we didn't talk about this, but the video game for Super Nintendo and the video game for Super Nintendo for Lion King are both incredibly hard.
Oh yeah,
they're so hard, and well, they're fun, but they're just platformers. So they're obviously fun. But
play them on your Twitch channel, Troy. Do it. Do it now.
You know what? I have a Wednesday slot every week where I play a random thing. I used to play Battletoads to try and beat it.
Good luck.
It's hard. I didn't beat it.
No way. But dude, and back to Aladdin. Yeah, this film is gorgeous, and like you said, Robin Williams is one of the best comedic performers of all time, and he knocks us out of the park.
And that was another reason why I think the remake is not worth watching. Unless you just want to. I mean, it wasn't horrible. It's just, Aladdin is another thing, like The Lion King. It was a masterpiece, and you're not going to top it with anything live action. You're just not. And as good as Will Smith is,
Yeah, poor Will Smith.
He can fall flat on occasion, and this is an occasion where he's got to go up against the memory of Robin Williams. And Will Smith is a great actor in his own right, but Robin Williams he's got better comedic chops than Will Smith does. And that's not an insult to Will Smith. That's not at all. The fact that they
were
willing to
cast
cast
hilarious.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, and I love Will Smith as an actor. That's not even, but to say that he's got the comedic chops of Robin Williams, he plays the genie differently, but we don't want to see the genie different. That's all it is. Yeah,
and the hologram of Robin Williams as the genie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has, and also with Robin Williams' tragic, suicide, you have there's a sense of loss and longing for him and some sorrow that you're not gonna get filled, and I think Disney's some of these attempts appear to be half-hearted to remake these films, and that's one of them, because topping Aladdin, good luck, just good luck. It's like trying to do it with the Lion King, and I know they're wanting to redo Robin Hood, and I'm like, okay, how are you going to do that? Blending live action with animals. It's like you really don't. Please don't.
I mean, if they did the Zootopia animation, would you be okay with it?
That's not the same thing. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying
to do live action?
Yeah, it's like a blend live action CGI sort of thing. And it's like, these are anthropomorphic animals. I don't think Robin Hood needs to be redone. Just go do something fun. Zootopia was excellent. It's on my list. I don't know if I'm going to draft it or not. It might get an honorable mention. But
they want to do a live action Robin Hood with anthropomorphic animals?
Yes.
Right. Furries everywhere getting their panties in a bunch.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Who's
all right?
Is it my turn?
It's mine. It's mine again.
Yeah. It's round 3, top of the third round. Troy, what's your number 3 pick?
Oh,
don't do it.
You ain't got to tell him. Don't tell him.
I'm gonna go with Tarzan. I love Tarzan. My mom used to sing "You'll Be in My Heart" to me when I was a kid.
You'll be in my heart.
Phil Collins gives me such nostalgia for this movie. No matter what song it is, I hear his voice. I'm like, I need to go watch Tarzan now. This is another film where the villain dies in a gruesome way, but not really, but does. The soundtrack is incredible. I watched this film a bunch when I was little, and I also watched this more as I got older because I was showing kids at my church Tarzan. Because the older kids were singing "You'll Be in My Heart," and the younger kids didn't know what it was from. And I was like, hold on, let me teach you something real quick.
Let me break it down for you.
Yeah, you're gonna learn today.
I've never seen this movie all the way through.
I think I have, but it was one of those things that didn't stick with me the same way.
So do you know how the villain dies?
Yes, you told me.
I told you
started.
Go ahead.
So
tell us
the villain dies. I can never remember the name of the villain. He's not a super memorable villain. He's not. He's an explorer. That's his thing. He's a European explorer.
All right, get to why he dies.
He's fighting Tarzan in the jungle. He's tangled in a bunch of vines, and he's chopping at the vines with a machete, and he accidentally hangs himself. Because the vines get wrapped around his neck, and the ones that are holding him up, he cuts, and it just makes this twang noise, and
Gotcha.
they don't show.
Disney can get pretty dark.
Disney can get pretty dark.
Okay.
And if we go to Pixar,
Disney is not that dark compared to what their source material is, guys.
That's true.
yeah, Little
Like-
Mermaid much.
Cinderella's step siblings cutting off their toes.
Little Mermaid sawing herself in half.
Right. To give herself legs.
To give
Is that
herself
how
legs.
she dies?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought she just
Anyway.
drowns. Okay. I can't. I mean, like that's the thing about Disney, guys, is it becomes more ubiquitous than its source material. Like
Grim
it
fairy
plays-
tales are terrifying.
Well, no, that's Hans Christian Andersen for
Oh, is it?
Little Mermaid, I believe. Yeah. Cinderella's Brothers Grimm,
Yeah, Cinderella. Is
I think.
Ashen Puddle. Ashen Puddle. It's Grim.
Okay.
Or because it's Cinderella, it's Ash Feet. Anyway,
All right.
it's definitely Grim.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Tarzan.
I mean, it's a classic, but I watched so much like promo material for Tarzan right after Mulan. Like I kind of went like on Disney Channel stuff. So like I remember watching all that like "You'll Be in My Heart" Phil Collins stuff, which like I don't know, maybe it was what's that? 1999 was Tarzan.
I think it's at 898.
No, it's 99. I'm looking at it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mulan's 98. That's why it both were June, so they're like 1 year apart. I don't know. It was just one of those things of Mulan spoke to me and Tarzan didn't. You know, go figure.
Spoke to my mom. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just never really sat down to watch this. I guess I was too busy
Phantom Menace.
watching Phantom Menace trailers.
That's what happened, I think, is we got Star Warsified. I mean, we already loved Star Wars, but Phantom Menace had created a different one. So I think that might be one reason why we pulled off.
Yeah,
And it's not got a nostalgia factor for us.
maybe so.
I don't know.
All right, Jamie.
It's rationalization. All right. I'm going to take, for my round 3 pick, Sword in the Stone.
Breaker. Well,
Oh, that was not a real cuss word, was it?
Huh?
So, Sword in the Stone, 1963. That is a retelling of T.H. White's novel of the same name. It's the origin story of King Arthur, which I love. T.H. White later kind of combined his 4 novels or 4 novellas into one work or a tetralogy of The Once and Future King. And so this is like the first part of that. I loved the film so very much. In a lot of ways, it could probably be my number one. My 1, 2, and 3 here are almost interchangeable for me as far as rewatchability. The Sword in the Stone, I mean, it's got good music, but again, not too much. It's clever. You don't really know what's going to happen. The villain is actually not very central to the story. And that's actually one thing I like about it. It's got a lot of internal conflict and small external conflicts that are kind of relatable in a lot of ways. And one of the things I actually like about it is the concentration not on overt feats of heroism, but on good old book learning. The central focus on improving your mind, on academics, on doing things to always get better and learn about the world around you, learn about everything that there is to know just for the sake of knowing it, because you don't know when you're going to need it. And, it's easy to forget that in a medieval setting that you need more than just brawn. And I think that is one of the things of, it kind of talks about, well, you're going to be somebody. If you're going to be somebody, you need to know stuff. And I think we can see, for instance, in some of our politicians, like hey, this can be a bad thing if you're not well learned, well read. And so that is, and it doesn't really matter what political side you take. You can look and go, yeah, I really wish you were smarter than you are. So that's not, it doesn't have to be a political statement. But anyway, yeah, so Sword in the Stone is my number 3 pick, and it is number 1 in our hearts.
Well, this was my number 4 pick. Well, it was actually my number 5, but you took Robin Hood. So
Jacked.
it's just a classic retelling of King Arthur and Excalibur. Merlin.
Nope, not Excalibur.
Excalibur comes from the lake.
Like, my bad. Sword and Stone. Sorry. Not Excalibur. Got it. All right. But Merlin is Merlin in this movie. And it's just fun, right? This movie's fun all the way through.
It does play on the fact that the kind of idea that Merlin is going backward in time. So he's got all these anachronistic things.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, blow me to Bermuda, and he goes to Bermuda, and he comes back there in shorts and a ball cap and stuff like that, and you're like, huh? And it's just it's played for laughs. It's really well done in that regard.
The duel between Merlin and Madame Mim is one of the greatest magician duels ever filmed, so to speak, animated, whatever. It's so good. This movie is just so fun. I love it all the way through.
Harry and Voldemort eat your heart out.
Yeah, Harry and Voldemort. Nope, I'm taking Madame Mim versus Merlin. Sauron versus Gandalf. Breakdancing in Orthanc.
Do we have another mini draft going on here?
Yeah. No. Madame Mim versus Merlin, please. Let me get that.
I love that. But the other thing that I really like about this is when they just turn into the turning into animals. The fish one in particular is the one that sticks with me.
The one that sticks with me is when they turn into squirrels.
Yes.
That's the one that sticks with me. That I was going to bring it up. It's like one of y'all gave me this on DVD, like a remake of it, so that I could watch it in the Durango. One of y'all gave it to me.
Probably me.
And I remember watching the scene with the squirrels, and then there's the girl squirrel, and I was like, what is going on there?
Yeah.
Girls have cooties.
Supposedly this one's going to get a remake too, and it might actually work. It could work. I see this one as being more workable because it's based on T.H. White and actually having live action characters, and it is a bit in 1963 a bit removed. It's not as, say, iconic in the cultural psyche as, say, Lion King or Aladdin, which would be more comparable. But no, I mean, I can see it, but I
does
remember
have live action character potential,
yeah,
as opposed to Robin Hood.
I remember reading T.H. White's Once a Future King, and after I got past Sword in the Stone, I didn't like it as much. And T.H. White has some kind of wrong ideas about the Middle Ages, but and so this kind of perpetuates some of it. But it's still so good, so classic, and I just love it.
Rad.
All right.
Well, now my list is dwindling. But I still got my number 3 pick in the chamber, ready to go, and it is a sequel.
Uh-oh.
And it is not Return to the Jafar.
Good.
It is The Rescuers Down Under.
You jacked me!
Yes! I got him back.
Jacked.
It's a sequel that is better. It's a Disney
original.
sequel that is actually better than the original, which is super rare for Disney movies. Especially as we enter into the late 90s, early 2000s, where Disney just comes this crock of sequels that were ham-fisted and terrible
direct-to-video.
grabs for direct-to-video. And people say that 80s were the dark times of with things like The Black Cauldron and such, but the early 2000s were rough.
Yeah, but this
And
wasn't that.
This came out, I believe, in 1990.
Yep.
So
Right after
this is the
Little
I
Mermaid.
think this is Little Mermaid, and this are the beginnings of the Disney Renaissance.
This is
And
Rising Action.
this is, I think, in my opinion, still the greatest Disney sequel of all time.
No argument here.
There's not much competition.
Not much competition. Frozen 2, you can throw that in the mix, I think.
Never seen it.
But this
Not
is
to us.
absolutely the best sequel, I think, in my opinion. Obviously, it's on my list before the regular Rescuers. It improves upon all the characters. It adds more human element, higher stakes adventure with some extremely nail-biting, edge of your seat sequences, and also John Candy.
Oh, I was gonna
as
say
Wilbur the Albatross.
John Candy.
Chef's kiss. Jamie, I know you're a John Candy fanboy, so what do you
I
think?
love me some John Candy. I mean, part of the thing is John Candy reminds me of our stepdad. So it's like he's just like always so lovable, like in the best mood. Our stepdad.
I was gonna say, huh?
Yeah. Okay. When he's in like his best mood, that's kind of like the
After an LSU victory.
yes. But no, the Rescuers Down Under, it's actually one I've been revisiting lately because I have it on DVD or Blu-ray. I can't remember which, or both. Anyway, I've been throwing it in the Blu-ray player for our daughter, who's 2 years old, and she's just eating it up. Loves it. And she's into all, like, she's getting into the Frozen stuff and the Brave and everything, and she is absolutely perfectly content watching the Rescuers Down Under. And honestly, like, I'm rewatching it, I'm kind of going like, yeah, this is good.
The Poachers.
Huh?
The Poacher.
Yeah, man, and it's good, and honestly, it's like our first foray into Australia. I mean, you're talking about like the redheaded stepchildren of Western culture, but hey, they are, and like it's some representation there too, in some, not a way that we're normally thinking about, but yeah, I mean, it's just really, it's well done, and it is better done than the original Rescuers. But it plays on the same themes too. So I love it, and it's one of those. I think this movie is another reason why I was so into animals as a kid. Like, you have such a variety of animals, but you also are talking about issues of conservation and poaching, and so it brings certain critical, I don't know what you need to refer to it as, important issues,
Relevant, yeah.
important and relevant issues to light for children in a way that children can somewhat understand, and their parents watching it can also see, and
it's always relevant.
Well, right, it
Conservation of
does.
animals.
Yeah, it remains
well.
relevant. Right, it does chooses a theme that makes it continually relevant, which tends to be the case when you're playing on fairy tales, which play on kind of central human themes. But this one plays on a little bit. It's more of it's an original story as far as I'm aware, and so it actually is one that's. I don't know that it gets all the credit it deserves, but it needs to get more.
My mom loves this movie.
Because it's so good. And she probably watched it with us growing up. So
right, she's watched it with me. I need to watch it more because I watched it a lot when I was little, and I don't remember much.
we'll watch it tonight.
That's fine. But I know that my mom, every time that she talks about Disney movies, she talks about The Rescuers Down Under, and she just loves it. No matter what, she'll go on about it.
Hell yeah. Well,
There's also a weird Easter egg where you can see through a window in this one, or is that in the original Rescuers? You can see
remember.
like there's
tons of little Easter eggs throughout these, and some of them are highly perverted.
Yeah, no, this is one of the highly perverted ones.
Oh.
You can see
They've
through a
probably
window.
all been edited out from the originals.
That's
but-
true.
Oh, probably not as much as you'd think.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
They're pretty
The
hard
evil
to find.
floating
a lot
Walt
of
Disney head is just like, no, leave them in.
evil.
Anyway, guess what, guys? Let's head into round 4,
Your pick again.
where it's my pick again. And
Bong.
my round 4 pick is A Tale as Old as Time.
Really?
Beauty and the Beast. Dude, yes. I watched this thing on repeat. I mean, I bought the VHS.
I'm aware.
I bought the VHS in, hit rewind, and watched it again, back to back. I was obsessed with this movie. I don't really know why. I mean, obviously,
The music is absolutely spot on, almost
very good music.
unparalleled.
Be our guest. Be our guest. It's just so. There's so many good songs, and
What year is this
I think
one?
it is 90. Let me check. I think it's 93, but I could be wrong. 92 is
91.
Aladdin.
91.
So
November
I remember
91.
getting this film for my birthday and just ran this thing ragged in the VCR, and just all the characters are so good. Like, they're all just very relatable, even though they're household items. As we know that later on, they are not household items and they are transformed back into humans. And this one, the remake
It didn't
isn't
suck.
as bad, and you gotta love Emma Watson. So
Okay. I mean,
you can't argue with that.
okay.
Got it.
It's like the only human on screen for most of the time. Actually, I listened to this movie, to the remake, more than I actually watched it, because like we had it on like a little portable DVD player while we were driving a long distance. And so it was kind of like, okay, kids, fall asleep to listening to this, and mom's gonna watch the film, and I'm gonna like go, okay, all right. I'm
What
driving
year
on
did the
road.
live action come out?
Who knows?
2015.
I think it was
He says unsure of himself. It doesn't.
Because I feel like I remember the girls in my church freaking out about this film because they wanted to see the live action.
2017.
17.
Oh, okay.
And Gaston as a villain here.
Oh, he's a great film.
He's a great villain.
Yeah, and he's not even like. But I like that he's the villain, but he's not like the. He's not
He's a
he's not the evil mastermind. He's just a
Right.
bad dude.
But no one's slick as Gaston.
Or as
No
thick
ones quick as Gaston.
I don't remember.
And nobody's neck is incredibly thick as Gaston.
Yes.
Some of these Disney lyrics are so like, you really went there. Like,
Yes.
Gaston looks
especially
like,
Little Mermaid.
Gaston looks like what is his name? I'm blanking on his name.
A wrestler.
Superman. Who's the Superman actor?
Oh, Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill.
He does. He does look like Henry Cavill. That's actually kind of funny. Yeah,
He
no,
got a thick neck too.
He do.
Beauty and
I'm
the Beast.
thinking of
was-
that picture.
It didn't make my short list, but I absolutely considered it. It was one of the ones that I definitely have an attachment to because, again, it was one of the ones you ran ragged through the VHS or the VCR. That's you
The
ran
VHS player.
through the VCR.
The VCR. The VHS tape.
Word. It's just been so long since I've had to use those things. I mean,
I got one right over there
I have
I
one at my house.
with the DVD player. And
is it the one?
and the Betamax.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I loaned you, I gave you that one, right?
What?
The double player.
No, Mom did.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But no, yeah, Beauty and the Beast is definitely an excellent, excellent film. And it was certainly part of that Disney Renaissance. It's on the rise. It's right after Rescuers Down Under. Yeah, so can't complain.
As a big, scary, hairy dude, I love Beauty and the Beast.
Next round.
It makes, that's the end of the.
But this, yeah, I mean, this has some
Number
iconic this movie definitely has some iconic imagery as the rose.
The rose.
Yeah, and they really knock it out of the park with this film. So let's
Oh, one last thing.
go ahead.
Go.
I love that the human forms of all of the characters, like Lumiere is super skinny, and he got turned into the candle. I love when they all get turned back into humans, and they resemble the items that they were still.
Yeah, and you actually get to see what they look like, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So now are we moving on to my pick?
Your round 4 pick, buddy.
All right. So I'm going to move on out of the Disney Renaissance, out of my nostalgia factor from the old school animation, and I am going to run new school because I live that dad life, and I gotta watch this stuff, the new stuff. So you know what? We go in 2016's Moana because it is a better film than Frozen, and I would much rather watch Moana ad infinitum than another day watching Frozen or Frozen 2. And unfortunately, Frozen and Frozen 2 got the replays on my daughter right now, but Moana is better. It's got better music. It's got. Why is everybody leaving?
Neither of us have seen it.
You've never seen Moana?
But I know all the songs. Yeah, I've heard the songs. Never seen it.
Oh my gosh! Y'all
And I
should
love
go-
The Rock. So
Maybe we need to watch this tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
Emily,
go-
I there were some that I wanted to rewatch and watch, and Moana was on my list to watch,
Dude.
but I just didn't.
Okay.
Couldn't pull the trigger. I've seen parts of it, of course.
yeah, I've seen parts of it, but never the full movie.
Have you seen Frozen?
No,
Yes,
Okay.
both of them.
So
neither.
what? Go ahead and Ian, you've seen Frozen, so there's something missing in that film.
Frozen?
There's something missing about the film. There's I know it's based on, I think, Hans Christian Andersen, the Snow Queen, but
Well,
Moana has something. I think it's playing on archetypes a little bit differently, or traditional tales from Polynesia. I don't know exactly what's going on there. I am kind of a fan of the Joseph Campbell monomyth idea, but you've got a lot going on in Moana, and it's really a good story that kind of talks about loyalty and but it's got adventure, and it's got a kind of a heroine's journey in this sort of case, which is comparable to the hero's journey in some ways, but maybe a little less archetypal. But it's also got this idea of kind of taming these like the Maui character, which is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character in the film. So it's got a lot of really good stuff going on in the film, and my son this was a movie he watched on repeat. And I know that, like, we talk about a lot of times, like, little girls identifying with female characters, or little boys identifying with male characters, but really, I mean, to an extent that's true, but there never seemed to be an issue with my son identifying with the female heroine and the male sidekick, even though he's immensely more powerful at Maui, because he's a demigod or whatever. But like, it's one of those things that I think is kind of interesting, and this is one of those things of it's nice to get a little bit of a different take on a story that's got classic and traditional elements. We don't have a lot of cultural awareness of Polynesian culture and stories and tales, and so it's nice to see some of that. But also, it's really nice to and maybe part of it has to do with the Disney treatment of it, but it also is kind of interesting to see where our cultural awareness has commonalities, or our culture has commonalities with a culture that we're not really immersed in or based on. So I think it's actually really interesting in that regard. So and that's one of the ways I think that we find more acceptance in with other cultures and kind of in ones that even aren't related, is to where we um, see this and go, okay, this is a story that I can relate to, but it's not one that is familiar to me in like folklore, like Robin Hood. We have a million different tales of Robin Hood, and it's been retold so often because the United States, say, is an English descended society, um, mainly based around language, but also culture. So like, everybody kind of knows the idea of Robin Hood. Not so many know these characters from Polynesian mythology.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I just want to, but it's not familiar to us. But I'm sure the people in Hawaii and
Samoa.
yes, the surrounding islands know these legends, and these places look familiar to them. When Disney dives in and does something, they go all in, and the only thing I have any sort of cultural connection to Disney wise is the Princess and the Frog, and they nail it. They nail the spirit, the everything to do with that city and that those people. They absolutely knock it out of the park, and I can almost guarantee they do this, this area justice as well. And we see Hawaii done in Lilo and Stitch, which is also a great movie. So this isn't the first foray into Hawaii, but it is the first foray into that mythology.
Sure.
And like I said, the music's on point. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the music for this.
Oh, I
And
didn't realize that.
he is a musical genius. If you haven't seen Hamilton, it is also on Disney Plus, along with the rest of these movies we're talking about. So just to know that he did these and these songs that I could probably sing to you, and I've never seen the movie because it's on in the background. I've got 800 nieces and nephews. I don't have any kids myself, but I am familiar with the cultural phenomenon that is Moana.
So when I played football, I played with a very large Samoan dude. And our offensive line coach's granddaughter would walk up to him and call him Maui. That's my only connection to this film, is we started calling Alan Maui, and we had a trick play for him that was called Maui. That was the only connection I have, but he seemed to think that it was pretty accurate whenever I asked him about the film.
One of the things about the film, like it got kind of overshadowed by Frozen, and
Frozen was 2014.
I mean, maybe, but they're
It's
both
2 years
culture,
prior, right?
Frozen was 2013, actually. There was something about it that. Okay, so there was something about it, like, and there was something, with kids and wearing Moana Halloween costumes, and the reason it came around because Moana premiered in November, so it was a full year around till October came back around, and so like it was this big hullabaloo with little white girls who wanted to dress up as Moana, and like people got their Twitter
Knickers
army out, and knickers in a twist. There you go. And it's like, why? It's ridiculous to me sometimes as to think it's that they're children and it's not cultural appropriation. You can argue whether or not Disney should have done what they did, but I think the argument is better to make that, hey, you know what? Now there's some cultural awareness of another culture, and that's actually a good thing. And it creates
and it's like acceptance of the culture.
Yes, and
we're all people, so
and we all have our stories, and we all have our predilections. And guess what? The idea that somebody can find a hero or a heroine from another culture, that's good. Quit being a pill. That's all I gotta say. All right.
Oh, and you asked me, or you were saying that Frozen feels like it's missing something.
Yes.
They changed something in the middle of the movie.
Well, it does have some things that feel out of place, like the little trolls or something, but it's color. A lot of Frozen is just white.
That
It's
doesn't
just
bother
snow
me.
and Frozen, but in Moana has tons of color. Except talking to the colorblind kid over here. No, but Moana is colorful and vibrant, and Frozen is not that at all.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's aesthetics. I find Frozen to be absolutely beautiful aesthetically. But
Frozen in development changed drastically. I know that.
I think there's plot and characterization problems.
Because Elsa was supposed to be a villain.
I don't know.
I think how the story goes, but
I mean, she
or
sort of
the
is.
source material.
Yeah,
But-
the source material after one of the songs, people were complaining that it didn't feel right, and that's because late in development they changed the plan. I remember reading that around the time that it came out.
All right.
But watch Moana. It's more complete, I feel like. It's a better story. All right. That was my fourth. So
Let's move it on to Troy's fourth.
So I'm going to go with Fox and the Hound.
Mother Scruffer.
So I had this on VHS as a kid. I remember.
Another one off.
What'd you say?
I said, I'll mark another one off.
jacked.
Yeah, indeed. I watched it with my sister whenever we shared a room.
And
A
boy,
lot.
did you cry.
This film is emotional. It's older. It's 50s or 60s? 60s.
60s, I believe. I'll look it up for you.
This is the first one on my list that isn't from like that Renaissance era.
Oh, it's actually 1981.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
The animation looks older.
Yeah. The 80s Disney movies, they kind of tried to match the animation from the 50s and 60s, but
And
go ahead.
the tale of like friends who then have to fill roles where it's really upsetting to see people they're not people, but they're animals. This relationship that gets torn apart by the roles that they're supposed to fill. And I just remember watching this film and being really upset because they couldn't play anymore. And the Hound had to hunt him down.
Yeah.
And it was...
All right. I'm going to read a review on Letterboxd from Susie Fahrenheit Tepesh. It says, Todd, I'm a fox. Copper, I'm a hound dog. Me, I'm a mess. This completely sums up how I feel when I watch this movie. I avoid this movie because I know I will be a mess afterward, but it is such a worthy film. And if it wasn't going to be drafted, I do have final pick. I was going to take it as my final or as a bench warmer if it ended up that way. If I got my top five, which I clearly didn't since they're just getting stolen left and right here. But
yeah.
This, you try to argue, talk yourself into maybe because, maybe the guy missed, maybe he got away, he doesn't. And it is a story about companionship and a story ultimately about loss. And it is vital that kids learn about this early so they can deal with important losses in their life. And
I don't know. I still cry like a baby.
I mean, you should. I mean, and this is up there with Bambi in one of the most heart-wrenching death scenes in all of Disney.
Yeah.
And maybe all of film. So, I mean, this stays with you forever when you see it. So,
yeah, Fox and the Hound. And I remember having the book as it was, and the book was titled Todd and Copper, and I never really understood why the book was titled differently. But so, like, this story, whether I was watching the film or reading the book, it was always there for me. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of like their first foray into a Romeo and Juliet sort of thing, but in a platonic fashion, where it's not a romantic love; it's a companionship, a friendship. That's forbidden by their very natures. And it's like the hound dog can't be friends with the fox, and the fox can't be friends with the hound dog, and it leads to ultimate tragedy in that regard. So, and I think really it has this Romeo and Juliet thing going on before the Lion King Part 2. And so I see there's a connection there, and it's certainly I think it's well done, and I think Disney in the 80s gets a bad rap. I don't think it's as bad. I don't think it's up to the standards of what they could have been, showing through the Renaissance. But I really think Fox and the Hound is really it's quite good for so many reasons. So. Yeah. All right.
you got anything else, Troy?
I don't think it's the first Romeo and Juliet,
Yeah,
Maybe.
Lady and the Tramp.
which is a perfect segue.
Okay.
Lady and the Tramp.
No, not mine.
Not yours? Okay.
No. I saw the remake recently. They do have a live action remake of The Lady and the Tramp, guys. But no, that is
Live action.
Oh, is it?
Live action. I mean, the people in it are real, but whatever. Anyway, so I'm actually torn here because I want to go with one of my childhood favorites and nostalgia, but actually I'm thinking I'm going to go with new school and pick one that I was introduced to by my son, and that's going to be Big Hero 6.
Dog it!
Did I
I'm getting destroyed on this draft.
Good.
Write that one off.
Jack.
Wait a minute, we skipped me.
What?
That was the end of round 4.
Oh,
Why, it was the
mercy.
perfect segue.
Oh.
Because my number 5 is Lady and the Tramp.
All right. You could have stolen Big Hero 6, dude.
Nah, I have never seen it.
Rewind. All right, Lady and the Tramp. My bad.
Yeah, that's why it was the perfect segue, because I knew that I was next. And I was
All right,
like,
You didn't say anything? You just let him run with it?
well, no, I was like, wait, did I mess up?
All right, go with it.
So, Lady and the Tramp is the first Romeo and Juliet story for Disney. That one's, I don't know the year. I'm not good with years. I'm pretty sure it's the 50s. I should have wrote it down.
Both to write it down. It's not the 50s. Oh, yeah, it is. 55. My bad.
Yeah.
So, 26 years before Fox and the Hound. So, Lady and the Tramp.
Math, y'all.
Let's.
Intellect superior.
Oh my goodness. Intellect superior. Lady and the Tramp is a great film to introduce I feel like Lady and the Tramp is suitable for younger kids and isn't as good when you get older as a Disney film. Like, that's why it's not tops for me, is because whenever I rewatched it like 5 years ago, it didn't do as much for me as it did for me as a kid. And that's why I was torn between it and throwing in something for my best friend as the 5th spot.
You can give him a bench warmer.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a bench warmer. I was torn between putting this as a bench warmer and putting something else as it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like Lady and the Tramp deserves to be on the list. It's good enough to be in the top 15 total of animated Disney films.
Fair. I think one of the things of Lady and the Tramp is that you can argue that it's kind of a Romeo and Juliet tale, and I mean that's one of those kind of forbidden love tropes, or but the one of the things that's really going on with Lady and the Tramp is class differences.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's maybe a little bit less applicable to us in America at this period in history. So we can talk about that, but like you obviously have class differences, but they don't actually seem to take as much of a focal role in the culture as it would in, say, 1950s Britain,
Right.
or even 1950s America. And so, like, we have more openness to social class mobility, social mobility and things like that. So, like, that's kind of ingrained more in the culture, and it always kind of has been with America. But, so what y'all looking at?
The stack of VHS tapes.
Oh,
Mulan.
gotcha. All right, so yeah, I mean, Lady and the Tramp's good. I don't know if it's top 15, but it's there.
The sequel is also not that bad.
I don't know nothing about these movies, man. These weren't something I came up to. I know about Spaghetti Kiss. That's about it.
The sequel for Lady and the Tramp is not that bad.
All right, so now I don't know if we're gonna edit this around my.
Nope, we're not. All right, Jamie, what's your number 4 or 5 pick?
My number 5 is going to be Big Hero 6, like I was talking about. And I was actually struggling between choosing this or The Jungle Book. But this one wins out. As much as I love Rudyard Kipling, and I don't care who knows it, because Rudyard Kipling is one of the best authors of all English literature, and one of the most pioneering. The Big Hero 6 really kind of deals with some really relevant themes that we kind of touched on with Fox and the Hound, but in a more real way, rather than building it up and putting the death at the end and having to deal with it like with Bambi, trying to deal with it. This does it at the beginning. The themes of loss, themes of death and grief, and really the love and sacrifice, and the self-sacrificial love, and because Big Hero 6 has these themes, I find it to be a very powerful film, and one that's going to be relevant, stay relevant, even though it's not necessarily as iconic. It was only released in 2014, so I think this film is really top notch, and it actually plays on some. It's got kind of like an anime. Japanese animation type feel to it. It's definitely inspired by some of that, and like some of like the funny inventions that you see come out of Japan, like, and things like that.
San Francisco.
Is that what the city is? I can't.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. I remember seeing this for the first time and going, okay, I'll watch a kid's movie with my. Well, it wasn't my son at the time. I adopted him later, but and I'm thinking, okay, well, let's see how this goes. I'm like going, oh, well, this has got stuff in this movie. Okay, this has got like lots of stuff. I'm like going, okay, I'm wiping my tears. All right, we're good. Like, this was a really a very solid film.
And this movie has a lot of heart, and I think the storytelling is kind of basic. It is based on a Marvel comic, so you get that.
Is it?
It is. So you get that sort of very linear sort of storytelling. but that doesn't detract from the important stuff it tries to tell.
Mhm.
And Baymax, man. I mean, what an incredible
B-Max,
piece
you mean?
of, huh?
You mean
It's
B-Max?
Baymax.
Oh, okay. I thought you
And
were
it's just
I said A-Max. I was like,
no, Baymax is just he's a incredible feat of just physical comedy and animation, which you don't
Mhm.
see all that often, but it's just watching him move around is hilarious.
mhm.
And then of course his voice is just I am Baymax. It's great pick. Obviously this is on my list and I'm losing. I literally have one movie left.
Well, good. It's your turn.
Yeah. It's my turn. Round 5.
Mm-hmm.
We're going with Basil of Baker Street.
I knew it!
The Great Mouse Detective. Of course, this is based on the man from Bleecker Street? Or is it Baker Street? Sherlock Holmes, obviously.
Bleecker Street would be Doctor Strange.
Same guy, right? Same actor.
Same actor. Yikes.
Did we lose audio?
No, I'm still
Okay,
here. I'm
okay.
just
You
laughing
laughed
at
at
You
it. You
laughed?
laughed at it. Everything went white. Like I just anyway. Anyway, yeah, same actor. Not this movie, but The Great Mouse Detective is a fun romp, a mystery. Like I don't know that a lot of Disney movies are true mysteries like this are, and it's just one of those fun movies. And what is his name? Ratigan?
Ratigan.
The villain.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe it's Ratigan.
I can see it
What?
in my head.
Yeah, awesome villain, and yeah, this movie I think is also 80s Disney.
Yes, it is. It's like 1986.
Here, this movie,
Yes. It was released the day before I was born.
sweet. I think I knew that for some reason. So when did Robin Hood come out?
73.
Yeah, 73.
That's incredible that you just spouted that at me.
He said it at the beginning of the video.
I don't remember. So, anyway,
I have all
anyway,
down.
I feel like Robin Hood was this like beginning of like, oh, let's just make everything animals. So they had Great Mouse Detective, The Rescuers, blah blah blah, some other ones, but
Fox and the Hound was
Oliver and Company. The Black Collar is a outlier there.
Aristocats.
Aristocats is in there.
Everyone wants to be a cat. Anyway, but The Great Mouse Detective is a fun one and one of my wife's favorites. So had to go with that.
Excellent.
Also, it was my only one left on my short list.
Well, that one is the Disney movie I remember you watching forever. Like that was one. I think you were
because it's good.
3, and like it was always in. One of mine was actually Bambi. But all right, let's do our recap before we hit honorable mentions. Troy, you go ahead.
So I have 1, Lion King, 2, Aladdin, 3, Tarzan, 4, Fox and the Hound, and 5, Lady and the Tramp.
All right, and Ian, you've got.
I've got 1, Robin Hood. Just kidding. I got 1, Fantasia. 2, Princess and the Frog. 3, The Rescuers Down Under. 4, Beauty and the Beast. And 5, The Great Mouse Detective.
All right, and I, James, have as number 1, Robin Hood, number 2, Mulan, number 3, Sword in the Stone, number 4, Moana, and number 5, Big Hero 6. All right, guys, time to hit our honorable mentions. Real quick.
Troy, hit me with 1.
So
Quick.
the first one, Treasure Planet.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't think about that movie that often.
Treasure Planet was overshadowed on release in 2002 by Shrek.
Oh, is that what happened?
And
Oops.
That's well, not Oops. DreamWorks did that on purpose. The
Well, of
people
course.
who worked on Shrek named Lord Farquaad that because and made him look like their boss at Disney. Farquaad.
Anyway,
And they released Shrek at the same time as Treasure Planet on purpose.
okay. Why do you
So-
love Treasure Planet? One sentence.
So Treasure Planet,
One sentence.
childhood. It was on the computer screen a lot because we had a DVD player on the computer.
All right.
All right.
My turn?
Yeah, do it.
Rickering Stitch Blueprints, buddy. That's my first. Lilo and Stitch is my first honorable mention there.
Nice. Good choice. Mine is The Jungle Book, which I already honorable mentioned. Rudyard Kipling does such an amazing job. The music in this film is amazing. Like this is one that I just can't get out of my head.
His favorite.
All right, your second honorable mention, Troy. Second and last.
It's my best friend's favorite movie. It's Hercules. Who puts the gliding gladiator? Hercules!
This is mine. I don't have another movie. I don't think.
Yeah.
Let me browse real quick. Talk about Hercules.
All right, so I'll give my other one, but after Troy tells me about Hercules, because I watched this in multiple languages along with Shrek and The Lion King in Spanish.
I've watched
and
Lion
French
King
class.
in French.
Mais oui.
So Hercules is my best friend Apollo's favorite movie. I love the soundtrack. It's very good. I like retellings of Greek myths because when I was growing up, I really enjoyed Greek mythology, just reading it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to shout out my best friend. I was going to put this at 5, but then I decided Lady and the Tramp deserved to be in the top 15.
Fair enough.
So
All right.
this is his favorite movie. I wanted him to have some representation because I talked to him a bit about this beforehand.
Cool.
James Woods is Hades too, man. What a
Oh yeah.
Hades is a hilarious villain.
Love me some James Woods.
all
right.
right.
All right, go
My
ahead.
Guy.
Last bench warmer here is 2010 Tangled.
Oh, you jacked me for an honorable mention,
Flynn Rider about to give you the smolder.
dude.
You never do his nose right.
Zachary Levi and Mandy Moore, the classic retelling of Rapunzel. Great film. My wife's favorite, I think, next to The Little Mermaid, and I don't really like The Little Mermaid that much, so I'm going to go with Tangled.
Fine.
Boom shakalaka.
You suck. All right. I love
I suck. You saw like 3 of mine. 3.
Fair enough.
Jacked.
I mean, Tangled is one that, like, other than the fact that celeb crush on Mandy Moore thing, but like it's Disney's return to fairy tales, classic fairy tales, and I love it. But so where I'm gonna go then is honorable mention. I'm gonna go to Zootopia, which I mentioned with Robin Hood, but I think 2016 Zootopia is just a fun. It is another one that you mentioned with The Great Mouse Detective with a mystery, and it has a cool mystery to the film, a nice little twist that I think throws kids for a loop and keeps adults engaged, and it's just one of those really fun films, and it's also really original. Even though it like pulls inspiration from Robin Hood, it's nothing quite like it, and so I like that on its own merit.
So I saw this and absolutely hilarious. Flash, 100-yard dash. The sloth at the DMV. And I thought it was hilarious. But then I work at the DMV and all I hear is, oh, you're like the sloth from Zootopia.
At least you don't have to work those counters anymore, right?
No, I'm behind the scenes now. But,
yeah, you've moved up in the world.
Yeah, but even when I explain to meet people and outside of work, And they're like,
Oh,
"Oh, what do you do?" I was like, "I work for Office of Motor Vehicles," and they're like, "Oh, like the sloth from Zootopia."
but it was funny.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely hilarious.
The first time.
Yeah.
It was
All
funny
right.
till like the third.
I
time.
do one day. I want to dress up as a sloth for Halloween and go in.
In your DMV shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
All right. So, yeah. What else? We got anything else we want to hit before we wrap it up?
That's a wrap. You can watch any of these movies on Disney Plus because they're all on there. And yeah, Troy, thank you so much for joining us. You're going to be back, I'm sure,
Yeah.
to talk about some other exciting stuff next season. But of course, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like us on any of your podcast platform listening thingy-jiggers.
And don't forget YouTube.
And like and subscribe to us on YouTube because now you can see us and that guy over there and his beautiful artwork behind him. Troy, where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can follow me on Twitter at TroyEdward121. I mostly just post links for whenever I go live on Twitch or get really angry politically. Depends on the day. And you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/The Tin Man, replacing the I with a 1. And you can follow me on Instagram at TroyInman60, INMAN.
And Jamie,
What?
where can they find you on the interwebs?
I don't want them to find me on the interwebs. Go follow Cine-Siblings.
Yeah, at Cine-Siblings Pod. Everywhere you can find social media except for a few.
Word.
Anyway, Jamie, sign us out.
This has been the Cine-Siblings Podcast Drafts. I'm James.
I'm Ian.
I'm Troy.
Until next time, go watch a new movie.
Or enjoy an old one.